welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Leah and Jaleesa, a podcast where we talk about today's most pressing issues. Make sure you remember to like and subscribe so you can be notified when the next episode drops.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So today we're going to be talking about gender roles and cultural norms. Biggest controversial topic will be single women raise boys to be men. Today we have with us Kiana, and we are going to let her put all of her good juju and her 2 cents in on this topic because you are a single woman, or were a single woman whenever you were raising your two boys. So go ahead and elaborate. Go ahead and break us in. So Kiana, what's your take on it? So hearing that, do you get infuriated? Like, how do you feel?
Well, being that I am a single mother of two boys, that is a sensitive topic for me. First of
Okay.
all, my grandmother, she raised it was eight of us that she raised. We were, her grandchildren. I was the only girl for 18 years. I had, it was me and my brothers in a home. And I believe she did a good job raising us. One thing I can agree with is that it is some things that a woman can't teach a boy. But I believe it's not who raises you, is how you're raised. So that's my
Okay.
take on it.
Okay. Do you feel, and Leah, you also have two boys also, and I know that you're married now, but at the time you are a single mother raising two children. I mean, what's your
Yes.
take on it? How do you feel?
So I feel like when I was in the midst of raising my boys by myself, I was extremely overwhelmed. There were so many things that I had to think about. Just me, I had to be the provider, I had to be the protector, I had to be everything for these two boys. And while I do believe that I was equipped to go through that season and still like keep it together, I feel like there are things that, like Kiana said, that a woman cannot teach a boy. And I feel like it's important for a man to be present when a mom can't do all the things. So whether that's, an actual father or just a father figure, a mentor, I think that it's important to have some type of male figure that a boy can look to teach him things that a woman can't.
Do you feel like women raise their boys like the men that they aspire to date? Does that make sense? Like, do you feel like women raise their boys in the men that they are looking for?
Wow, that's
Wow,
a good
that
question.
is a good question.
And I think honestly, yes.
Okay.
I think so because not that it's kind of weird because I wouldn't want to obviously date my
Absolutely.
children, but
Absolutely.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it is important for a woman who has standards. Like, she wants her boys to know how to treat a woman. She wants her boys to be mindful and to
Hmm.
be emotionally mature enough to handle a relationship. Because obviously, I feel like if the man that she had been with or the man that she had children with was mature emotionally and was catering to the relationship and her as he should have been, then she wouldn't be single in the first place. Does that make sense? So now I would be trying to teach my boys, okay, this is what you do, this is what you say, this is how you act, because it is good to be in a relationship. It is good to have both parties present,
Oh,
especially when
yeah.
you're raising children. So, of course, I would want my children to understand um the magnitude of how important it is to be a certain type of man.
Okay.
Agree with that also. Another thing with me, I was married to my kid's father. We were married for I think 7.5 years before we got divorced. So he was active and involved in their life. He's starting to come around again now. But my main thing with my boys is not having children unless you are for sure that's the woman you're going to be with and you are going to be active in your kids' life,
Yes,
because they see how hard it is with me, raising them on my own.
Yes.
And I don't want them to turn out and be men where they, having multiple children by multiple women and, leaving a woman to bear the load on her own. So I do try to teach my boys to watch who they have children with. And also, if they do, I know some relationships don't work out and sometimes, you might have to go your separate ways, but I do want them to be active fathers in their kids' life. That's the main thing I instill in them.
definitely.
So I don't have a dog in a fight. I am married and I actually have two girls. But I said that to say, and I asked that question truly because I believe that my husband and I are in a very, I think, like traditional marriage. And not saying that you all were not, but in the sense of I have two girls. And I noticed that my husband pushes the issue of my girls coming in the kitchen with me, my girls helping me clean up, my girls doing all these things that I believe society deems a woman's job or a woman's load.
Mm,
And so that's why I asked the question, do you feel like as single mothers who raise your boys, do you pull your boys in the kitchen with you? Do you pull your boys to go and do laundry? Do you pull your boys to go and do all these things? And do
oh
you feel
yes.
like if you were in a two-parent household that your husband would push his girls to go and do it opposed to the boys? Or do you feel like that's just something that maybe is this way because you were a single, woman raising boys?
Well, okay, this goes back to my grandmother raising us. Like I was the
Hmm.
oldest girl. I had an older brother, but I have an older brother, but I was the oldest girl. My grandmother, she raised all of us. We all were in the kitchen. We were, it wasn't no gender roles. Like I was in the kitchen more than my brothers. We all were in the kitchen, learning how to
Okay.
cook. My brothers, they learned how to clean. And like even now, my brothers, the older two, they have their own houses or own apartments. They cook, they clean. I don't agree with society with that one. Like the woman is supposed to be the one in the kitchen all the time.
Right.
Even with my boys, like I teach them how to cook certain things on their own because, like I tell them, you may or you may not get married, or you
Hmm.
may marry a woman that don't know how to cook. So I want them to be in the kitchen sometimes. I teach them how to wash their own clothes. They know how to get up in the morning, fix them some breakfast if they need to, wash clothes. They prepare their stuff for the week for school. I believe if I had a daughter, it probably would still be the same with, my boys and my girl. I don't believe in, gender roles. Now, that's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
When your grandmother was raising you, was she also a single woman raising you and
Yes,
your
she
brothers?
was.
So yeah, so
Yes,
I kind of feel like,
she was.
again, as a single woman, you are still raising them to be in the kitchen and doing all of these gender norm roles that they deem that women should do for what we like, for what we want to see in a man.
I would agree too. When I was by myself, my older one, he always helped me with laundry and stuff. And it actually was out of necessity. Again, I couldn't do everything by myself, but the boys still needed stuff to wear. So I taught him, okay,
Mhm.
this is how you wash clothes.
Yeah.
And then when I got married again, our family now, the boys still do their own laundry. I pull them in the kitchen with me. My husband cooks for all of us. So I mean, and we have a farm. We all feed. We all do indoor and outdoor things. It's not just, oh, mom can do the laundry and the cooking and the cleaning. We are raising our children to be self-sufficient. And
Mhm.
like Kiana said, what if your wife doesn't know how to cook? What if you're not even in a relationship? You want to
Mhm.
bring more to the table than just being a breadwinner, because in today's society, it takes more than one breadwinner. It's hard in today's societies. And so if both of you are working, then both of you need to know how to cook. Both of you need to know how to clean. Both of you need to know how to do all the things, because the mom is not just a homemaker anymore. Do you think that it is like, if a mom is single, do you think that it becomes the older son's responsibility to assume the role of man of the house? And if so, who pushes that on him? Like, is it the mom who pushes him into the role of man of the house? Or do you think that the boy automatically thinks, man, I'm the man of the house now, so I got to step up?
I can't answer that obviously, but I feel like outside looking in, I feel like it would be the mother pushing it because subconsciously, when you are raising just boys, I feel like we lean on them like a companion. So
Mm.
I feel like either we're trying to uplift them for the responsible side of it, or it's just the role that we push them in.
So with me, like when I got divorced from my kid's father, my kids were still young. My kids are only 15 months apart. It's not a big age gap. So I don't put a lot of responsibility on my oldest son. Um, And I don't like to call him the man of the house because he's not a man. He's still a child. And I don't want him to feel like he has to grow up so fast and be responsible for his younger brother. However, I do see it a lot in single mothers, especially the ones that's raising boys. They do put that responsibility on them to be the quote man of the house. Do I agree with it? No. I feel like you should let them be a child as long as I don't know.
I agree. And I feel like So, like when my boys were little, they are actually 4 years apart. And so, even when I was married, my oldest loved to help like change diapers, and he would sing to his little brother and he would help feed him and stuff, but that was because he was the big brother.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the part where I was by myself, I got an apartment for us and my oldest was helping with the laundry and things like that. I don't believe it was because I was pushing too much responsibility on him. I do believe that he had to do some things early, like his own laundry and stuff, but I was still there guiding him and helping him. But that's something that he needs to know anyway. It's not because, I was trying to make him the man of the house or anything, which I don't agree with that, because again, they're children. They need to stay little as long as possible. They need to do childlike things. When it's time for them to become men, then they can, do all the manly things, but I don't think that I look to them as my companions or anything other than children that it was my responsibility to take care of and teach
Exactly.
how to cook and clean and things like that.
Kiana, your kids, their father has been in their life. Leah, your ex-husband, he's in their life, and you also have your husband now. Do you find that there are things that you lean on them to teach opposed to what you could have taught?
My goodness.
For sure.
I'm going through that right now because my oldest son, he is 15, and he is at the age now where he is ready to date.
It's a lot.
I don't even know how to talk to him about, I don't know how to talk to him about sex because I don't know the
Right.
feelings that men have. I don't know, the emotions they go through. Now, if I had a daughter, it would be different. But I don't know how to sit down and talk to him. I can only teach him the way I feel how to treat a woman. The girls that he called himself like, want a date, I can teach him how to treat them. And, I tell him all the time, like, let me know
Yeah.
if and
You want to
when
take those
you
next
decide,
steps.
yes, that you're gonna take those next steps. But we know the stuff boys do behind our
Right.
back. I did reach out to his dad and ask his dad, to talk to him about that because I don't think I'm capable. I'm not gonna say I don't think I'm capable of it, but it's kind of hard for me to sit down and talk to him about it because I don't know how to talk to him. I don't know what to say to him. I don't know
It's
what
almost like you
questions
can't
to
really
ask
relate,
him.
possibly. Yeah,
Yes, like
because
I can't relate to him. So, and as much as I try to, I can't. I can't.
so
For
that
one,
is
it's kind of uncomfortable for me to talk to him about it too. So I think
okay.
that's another thing.
Is there a reason why it's uncomfortable? Just because you can't relate, or is it
Partly, I think because I still see him as my baby, and in reality, he's not a baby anymore. He's 15 years old. He's
right?
grown.
So I feel like I want to know everything. I want to talk to my boys about everything, and I want them to feel comfortable talking to me about everything. Like I literally have told them, I don't care if you got a bump, boil, if your booty itch, like tell me so I can help you. And I feel like it is uncomfortable. And I don't know how boys feel like physically and stuff like that, but I do
Mhm.
know as a hormonal teenager, you have feelings like we are made to be in relationship.
Right.
And so I know how I have felt when I have strong feelings for people that I've been in relationships with and stuff. And so I have talked to my boys about sex, the older two. The little one's not ready for that yet, but just talking to them about how you don't need to let your hormones and your emotions rule your actions. It's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. I personally know that. But again, we don't want to continue the cycle of single
Exactly.
mothers, not present fathers. And so we need to make sure before you jump into any type of physical relationship that you are emotionally mature for that. And
Right.
again, that comes with age, it comes with trial and error, but I don't feel like you have to mess up all the time in order to learn a lesson. And so
Exactly.
I just try and be open with my boys as much as possible. Like I just had a conversation the other day with the older two. Like, you don't need to be sowing your wild oats. That's not what life is about. You don't have to have a girlfriend every 2 seconds. You need to calm down and write
Yes.
out a list. Write out a list of your expectations, of your desires, like how you want not only her to look, but how you want her to make you feel, how you want to make her feel.
Mhm.
Just be strategic about it, plan it out, write it out, take it to God, because I mean, that's important. I don't know. It's just there's a lot more to a relationship than just the physical aspect of it. And I think as women, we bring that emotional part to it. We help our boys in that aspect. And then the men, I just hope and pray that they bring some type of logic to it.
So do you
Yeah.
feel like you all can, like, I guess, teach them about those life lessons and teach them about those things better than what a man could? Or do you, because I noticed that you said that, you all bring like the emotional side of it. Do you feel like you all do a better job at explaining those things and level setting and trying to relate better than their father or a father figure?
Think that it depends on the relationship that you have with your child. But I do think that as women, we are more emotional beings. And I do feel like in that aspect, we can help our boys understand that it is more than just physical. This is a human being that you're dealing with deep emotions, with deep thoughts, and you have to handle her in a particular way. She can't just be one of the homeboys. Can't just be, somebody that you don't have conversation with and that you don't really cater to. That's not that type of relationship. And so I think that we can open our boys' eyes to the more emotional part of it. Hard with them being so close in age.
It was actually it was a lot easier. I don't know how it would have been if it would have been a big age gap, but to me, I think it's a little bit easier having them both. It would have been easier having them, close together in age. Because what I teach one, I could just, teach both of them at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
Like that.
Do you feel that single women who raise boys, do you feel like they come out to be a little bit more feminine? Because we do, as mothers, allow them to express themselves. We do encourage them to, get in touch with themselves. It's okay to not be okay. Like, do you feel that since we allow those things, and I don't want to say, we're softer on boys, but do you feel like when they are raised in just a single mother household that they tend to possibly be a little bit more feminine?
Now, this is the topic that I'm not gonna say I don't like, but when I see men that are quote feminine, I have heard other men say, "Oh, you can tell he was raised by his mama because of the way he act." And I'm like, how do you determine whether a man was raised by his mom,
Yeah.
by a single mother because he's, feminine? I don't like that because for one, don't get me wrong, us women, we are emotional and we do teach our boys, how to understand. Well, I teach my boys how to understand women's emotional. I think I am a little hard on my boys. Not saying I don't want them to be, soft or whatever, but I think hearing that call, I'm a little hard on them. And I try to keep them out of my space so they won't see, stuff that I'm doing, like when I'm getting dressed or, putting makeup on or okay. So I do try to teach my boys how to be a little bit more masculine as much as I can, teach them how to not be feminine.
The sad thing is that I think that, and maybe feminine and masculine isn't even the right word, because I feel like it's almost sounds like we're calling them homosexual, if you
Yes.
will, because it's like, well, especially in the black community, you for sure, I don't know what it is, but you for sure don't want anybody in your family, and I feel like in a black cultured home, being like, oh, that boy's soft, well, what's wrong with that boy, just because
Mm-hmm.
they are showing emotion. I think that even, that alone, culturally, I think that black fathers tend to be a lot harder, tend to be a lot more rough, cutthroat,
Mm-hmm.
to boys, just because we don't want them to be soft or we don't want them to be feminine. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, even that gentleman told you, like, oh, you can tell he was raised by a mother, I feel like it goes to show you that in a, I hate to say it, but maybe a black home, he's not allowed to show his emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we as women raise more well-rounded boys, if that makes sense. Because I
Yes.
don't think that feminine is the right word. I feel like my boys are well-rounded
Mm-hmm.
because I do allow them to express their emotion. I allow them to say what they're thinking and feeling. I was just watching this episode of a show last night. It's called Forever, and there is a black family, and both people are present. Both the mom and dad are present. And the mom is like a strong black woman. I mean, she is smart. She is bringing everything to the table: bread, butter, steak, potatoes, all of it. But so she's got two boys. They have two boys. And she is trying her hardest to push her oldest to be everything he can be. Like, she is about her business when it comes to her son. She knows all the stereotypical things that come with having a black boy.
Mm-hmm.
And she just wants the best for him. And so the dad is also in the picture, but she wants her son to be so well rounded. She wants what's best for him so much to the point where she's not allowing him to like mess up, and she's not allowing him to really live his life as a child should. And
Mhm.
so there was one time where the little boy, he wanted to go out. He actually just got a vehicle. He wanted to go out and see about his girlfriend. And the mom was like, "No, the cops are out later at night and you need to be careful. I don't want you going out there." And the dad
Mhm.
is like, "Get your keys. Make sure you text us when you get there.
Yeah.
Make
Mhm.
sure you talk to Keisha. Make sure you are there for her and make sure you're back home by midnight." And so the boy left, and husband told the wife, he's like, "You're making him too soft." He said, "You have to let him mess up. You want him to be a grown man, let him do grown man stuff,
Right.
basically." And so I
Mhm.
can see how, as a mom, I would hold my son back from doing more manly things, whereas the dad would be like pushing him to do more manly things. Not necessarily less feminine, but more manly, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or
Yeah.
Yeah.
not.
Do you find yourself, Kiana, like being overprotective over your boys?
Oh, I am very overprotective, and I try not to be. I have my reasons for trying not to be overprotective, and it's mainly because how I was raised. I was raised in a
Okay.
strict household, so I am overprotective, but I do give them a little bit more freedom than what I had
Hmm.
growing up. One thing I want them to do, I do want them to, I'm not gonna say like make mistakes, but I want them to, experience life, learn from mistakes. But I'm bringing the Bible in this. The Bible does
It's
say,
okay.
train up a child in the
Yeah.
way he should go. So
Uh-huh.
I raise them the right way. They know right from wrong. So one thing about me, although my grandmother was strict, and when I got older, I did my own thing. One thing that stuck with me in the back of my head is my grandma would not like if I did this, or this not pleasing in the sight of God.
Hmm.
So that's how I want my boys to be. Even
Okay.
though, I do give them a little freedom, just a little bit, too much.
Don't get too
But I
crazy.
do, right, don't get too crazy. But I do give them a little bit more freedom. But one thing I do find myself doing is worrying a lot, mainly because I know I'm raising black boys.
Hmm.
Okay.
And it's scary raising black boys. We see stuff on the news, what's going on and everything.
So do you think, both of you all, that you all will still be as overprotective if you all had both parents in the home, or do you feel like that's just the mother in you? It has nothing to do with being a single mother.
I think that's the mother.
Okay.
That's the mother in you. I feel like
Yeah.
if I was by myself, it would probably be more heightened. I would be
Hmm.
like extra vigilant, like not being able to sleep, not being able to really calm down or relax, knowing that it's solely on my shoulders.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But because I do have my husband and the boys' dad, let me just,
Okay.
Okay.
as a mom, it is me like to be overprotective and everything. But because I have a husband who is there to step in and help me with the responsibility, and then when the boys go to their other dad, even though there are things that we don't agree on, I still know that there's that masculine point of view and that masculine
Okay.
protection, that to be able to navigate how to act, and that way I don't have to worry as much.
Yeah.
What do y'all think is the most important thing that a single mother can teach her boys?
Okay. So
Is there
again,
one thing?
I don't have boys. I'm just outside looking in. In my mind, I think that the most important thing to me, and I feel like this kind of piggybacks off single women raising their boys to be the men that they aspire to date. I think to me, I feel like they should eliminate gender roles. I feel like so many, and I'm going to say it again, black men in specific have that mentality that they are the protector, that they are the provider, the men who are in successful relationships and relationships in general. I feel like they are taught that their one job is to just provide. Their one job is just to protect. And I think that, like you said, Leah, we live in a society now where it takes two incomes. And I believe that it's we're at a time where the man wants to be the man and he wants to be the provider and he wants to, be the protector, and he wants the woman to come home and cook and clean and do those things, but also work a job. So, you're going to work, working those 8 hours, and you're coming home clocking another 8 hours. So I think
Mhm.
that the most important thing I feel would be just to teach, your sons that there are no such thing as gender roles, in a sense, because when you put such a heavy blanket on stuff like that, then I feel like it eliminates all their other things that they could be doing. Your partner is supposed to be a
Mhm.
helpmate.
Hmm.
If your strength is washing the dishes and cooking, you do that. If your strength is it's cutting the grass and edging, you do that. So I
Mhm.
feel like the most important thing to me that I would like to see for my girls would be just that they have a helpmate, that they have a partner, that there is no such thing as gender roles, that if you want to go out and work, that you all can both go out and work.
Mhm.
If you want to work and he wants to go to school, do that. If, and it could be vice
Mhm.
versa. It doesn't have to be this is how it's supposed to be, because we're
Mm,
not in a time like that. So that's
gotcha.
what I would like to see for my girls.
Okay.
That's good. That makes sense to me. What do you think,
It
Kiana?
does. I agree. That's one of the reasons I try to raise my boys, to kind of be well-rounded. Like I do, like I said, I get them chores. They know how to, well, I'm still teaching them how to cook. So I do want them to learn how to cook. I don't want them to be the type of man where they feel like they just go out here, they work, and that's all they do. They go to work and they come home and they just sit down and chill while the woman, she go to work and then she still have to bear the load of taking care of the home. I don't want those type of men. Mainly because they put a lot of stress on the female.
Hmm.
Yes.
Like Jaleesa said, like, it does take two incomes to run a household nowadays. I had a friend once before. Her husband, he worked two jobs and she stayed home. She was a stay-at-home mom. She did all the cooking and the cleaning. Now, if that's what works for your family, then that's fine. But
Absolutely.
if your wife or your partner or whatever, if she's getting out, going to work and, taking care of home, then you need to help her also. It's supposed to be 50-50. How
Hmm.
I look at it. Like, it shouldn't be the mother always, taking the kids to the doctor's appointments. And I see a lot of times where even in two-parent households, the father is in the household, but he cannot tell you nothing about his kids
Hmm.
because he is not active with the kids. He go to work, he pay the bills, he's a good provider, but he can't tell you his kids' favorite color, or he don't know who his kids' teachers are. I don't want my boys to be like that at
Right.
all. I
And
want them
I
to
have a
be
question
completely active. Mhm.
along those lines. That was one question that I did have. Do you think that is more harmful to actually have a man in the house who is not present, who doesn't know about his children, who doesn't participate in their daily lives? Or do you think that it's more harmful to just not have the father figure there at all?
No, I mean, they're almost absent either way, to be completely honest, because just to have
Yes.
someone physically in the home, but they're not there mentally, and
Hmm.
their sons or you all sons can't see what a man is supposed to be like, it almost is the same thing.
Right.
I agree. I agree. And they put a lot of stress on the mother also.
Definitely. To be everything to all people at all times and then
Exactly.
still have to be able to take care of herself, which more often than not does not happen. She
Hmm.
can't be there
Exactly.
for herself. So she's running on an empty cup, just exhausted
Hmm.
emotionally, physically, just disgusted with everything that's going on. Oh, yeah, it's just a
I
lot. It's
agree.
Hate
heavy.
everything. Can't even say good morning to her.
Exactly.
So, Leah, you answer the question. Answer the question that you asked. What is the one thing that you feel like, you could teach your boys?
Think, man, it's so hard because there's so much weight to being a parent. There's so
Yeah.
much that we have to teach our kids. Honestly, I feel like it's most important for our boys to follow God's lead. I feel like when you have a relationship with Him and you know that your role is to follow Him, then you will be able to grow into the role that you're supposed to be as the helpmate to your wife, as the man that can lead,
Hmm.
because there's so many women out here who have to be the leader, who
Hmm.
have to do everything. But if you have are the man that can lead your wife, and then if you have children who can lead your children, I think that's the most important thing. Then you'll be able to know, okay, I'm good at this, my wife is good at this, we can
Hmm.
work this out
Right.
together for our family. um and there won't be really roles per se, because you'll know what your ultimate role is, which is to follow God, and then things will fall into place. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect
Hmm.
because life is not perfect, but I
Yeah.
feel like
That's true.
as a man, you should be protector, provider, priest of your household. But within those things, it's so like nuanced. It's not just like, oh, protector, I have to fight people. It's like,
Hmm.
no, as a protector, I watch what my children consume. I
Right.
make sure that my wife is feeling comforted and loved. That's also
Hmm.
protecting, you know, your
Yes,
house.
that's true.
As provider, it's not just, you know, I bring home the bacon, but if my wife needs a massage or if my wife needs to be provided with this, you know, brand new watch, I can get that for her too. You know, it's just so many things that fall within those categories. I think when you know your role, ultimately, then other things will fall into place. This has been part one of a two-part conversation that we have had about gender roles and society norms. Part two, we're going to have a male come on and share his perspective of what it was like being raised by a single mother. And we hope to continue this conversation. Hopefully, y'all will like and subscribe and tune into our next episode.
Right.
Yes.